Now, what if I told you that the very people who are warning us about inflation just got caught red-handed wasting billions while millions of Americans are drowning in debt? Because this is exactly what is happening right now. And thanks to a leaked detail from President Trump's new trade deal, the cover-up at the Federal Reserve is finally unraveling. Now, we're talking about a $2.7 billion scandal that was never supposed to go public. We're talking about a Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, who may have withheld rate cuts that could have changed your mortgage, your credit card bill, even your business. And we're talking about millions of families that are paying the price. Meanwhile, the Fed builds itself this luxury palace in Washington, D.C. But here's a twist that most Americans don't know yet. President Trump may have actually set a trap, and now the Fed is panicking. So today, President Trump, obviously, he's the president of the United States. He's got a lot of power. He's got a lot of pull. And while he's making moves to rescue the economy, the media is losing their mind. The markets are in chaos, and the pressure is now squarely on the Fed. And get this, guys, Trump insiders are asking a very simple but very powerful question. Did Jerome Powell hold the line on interest rates just to hurt Trump, but slash them to help Kamala Harris win an election? Because that, my friends, this is not a trade policy disagreement. That's political warfare. So I'm going to go ahead and walk you through all of these shocking details that have just been uncovered just in the last 48 hours. In fact, details of the $2.7 billion Fed renovation cover-up, the secret conversations inside of President Trump's inner circle about firing Jerome Powell, and why millions of Americans are about to feel the real ripple effects of a decision that could change our economy and our elections forever. Now, and of course, before this video ends, you're going to see exactly why President Trump's latest trade deal might have been designed to do one thing: to expose the Fed once and for all. So stay locked in with me, guys, because what's coming up next could reshape the financial future of this entire country. By the way, if you appreciate the news updates, hit the like button and subscribe. I really, really do appreciate you guys' support. So let's just go ahead and say that again. So nobody forgets, Donald J. Trump is the president of the United States. And whether the media wants to admit it or not, the American economy, it's shifting in a massive way. We're moving away from the globalist entanglements that shipped our jobs overseas, drained our industries, and left working families at the mercy of foreign supply chains. Under President Trump, what we're witnessing right now, this is a bold transformation back to American strength, sovereignty, and even economic control. Inflation is dropping, manufacturing is coming home, and tariffs are realigning trade. And families are finally starting to see some signs of hope. But just as we start to climb out of this financial fog, something strange happens. It's not from China. It's not even from Wall Street. It's actually inside of our own financial system, because right now, we're learning that somebody inside the Federal Reserve, the very institution that controls your interest rates, may be working against this recovery. And the worst part here, guys, this is affecting millions of Americans who don't even know yet. So let's talk about the deal that started it all. Just days ago, President Trump leaked major details of a trade renegotiation with multiple nations, including China and the EU. The goal? Cut reliance on foreign goods, protect American farmers, manufacturers, and truckers, and most importantly, lower the cost for working families. Now, this was a shock to the system. Markets shifted, economists scrambled, and most notably, the bond market began pricing in an imminent rate cut. Because think about it, guys. If tariffs are bringing prices down, if inflation is cooling, if the economy is stabilizing, then what's stopping the Federal Reserve from cutting interest rates and giving American families a break, right? Well, apparently it's Jerome Powell, because while President Trump is making some bold moves to make life more affordable, the Fed is holding the line, refusing to lower interest rates. Why? Well, what's the justification? Credit card debt, it's exploding. Mortgage rates have doubled since 2021. Families are barely scraping by. So why would the Fed resist a move that could ease pressure on millions of Americans, especially now, right? Especially under a president who's delivering all sorts of positive results? It doesn't add up unless there's something deeper at play. So right when this pressure hits the Fed's doorstep, a $2.7 billion scandal suddenly explodes into public view. Luxury renovations, secret upgrades, overspending by hundreds of millions of dollars. Was the Fed hiding this from us? And could this be the leverage Trump needs to finally force change? Well, believe me, I'm going to get into that next. So while the American people were tightening their belts and their wallets, the Federal Reserve was expanding its square footage. That's right, guys. $2.7 billion. This is how much the Fed's renovation project in Washington, D.C. has ballooned up to. This is a project that was initially approved way back in like 2017 for a whole lot less money. So now they are hundreds of millions of dollars over budget. And what are we hearing right now? We're hearing talk of VIP elevators and rooftop gardens, luxury dining suites. Can you believe this nonsense? I mean, the Fed is calling it ambitious. Yeah, that's a nice way to put it. Americans are calling it what it really is. It's the Taj Ma-Powell. Okay. And so here's where it gets even worse. The very institution that's warning us about inflation being too high, they're out here spending your money like it's monopoly cash. Now, when this news exploded, Fed Chair Jerome Powell scrambled to request an inspector general review. But let's be honest, guys, is that accountability or is that really damage control? You know what I'm saying? Like, how can the same people telling you to stop spending justify this kind of extravagance? How can the same Fed punishing American families with the highest interest rates be building themselves a palace with your financial backing? The hypocrisy is blinding at this point, isn't it? And this scandal didn't just expose a budget issue. It opened the door to a much bigger question. And I'm going to get to that. But first, Nancy, 78 years old, her rent just jumped to $1,500 a month. Now, she told me, I don't know how I'm going to stay in my home. Then she called Chapter and they saved her $600 a year. Now, that might not sound like life-changing money for some, but for Nancy, it could be the difference between her staying in her apartment or having to leave. And this is why I'm with Chapter, guys. They're not over here selling some pipe dreams. They're helping people hold on to the lives that they've built. See how much money they can help you save. Whether it's you or your parents, give our friends at Chapter a call right now. It's totally free, 909-563-8279. Zero pressure and zero cost. Or better yet, hit them up on the website at askchapter.org/Ron. Chapter help Nancy. Let them help you too. Now, President Trump he's not going to stay silent about this. In fact, he's actually calling the Fed out directly. According to President Trump and his top economic advisors, including Kevin Hassett and Congressman Darrell Issa, Jerome Powell is actively standing in the way of relief for the American people. Now, President Trump did not mince words. He never does. He said Powell is the only man standing in the way of lower rates for the American people. Now, let's be real, guys. He has every right to be frustrated, right? Rates are sky high right now. Mortgages have doubled. Credit card debt is exploding. Business loans are drying up. And yet the Fed won't move. Not even after President Trump's trade deal shook the global market. Not even after inflation has dropped below 3%. Not even after millions of Americans are practically screaming for relief. So what's really going on here? Are they protecting something or are they sabotaging Trump's economic plan? Because from the outside, it looks like the Fed is doing everything it can to delay a recovery until Trump is out of the picture. And if that is the case, this is not just economic mismanagement. It's political warfare against the people Trump was elected to protect. And just wait until you hear this, guys. During Kamala Harris's campaign, the Fed cut rates twice. But when Trump took office, nothing. Now, the numbers don't lie, but the motives, well, you'll have to decide for yourself. Now, if you're serious about staying ahead of the news, grab my free breaking news email. I left it for you guys in a pinned comment down below. This is the filter for the noise. It's totally free. Go ahead and grab that right now. So let's not dance around this anymore, guys. Is the Federal Reserve politically weaponized? Because the timeline is no longer subtle. It's almost literally screaming at us. Let's go ahead and break it down. During President Trump's first term, when the American economy was growing, jobs were coming back, and inflation was under control, the Fed refused to cut interest rates. But right before the 2024 election, during Kamala Harris's campaign, the Fed didn't just cut rates once. They gave Kamala Harris a fat, tasty double rate cut. Now, let me ask you this. Why would they do that then when Kamala Harris was running for president, but they're not willing to do it for Trump now? Okay, now fast forward to today. Inflation has dropped under 3%. Unemployment is stable, and the economy is still recovering from Biden's reckless policies. And yet there's no rate cut, not a whisper of relief, just more wait and see from Jerome Powell and the Fed. I mean, you can't look at that and not ask what is going on behind closed doors. And if you're watching this and you're feeling that something feels a little bit off, you're not alone, because when Wall Street gets cheap money and Kamala gets election year stimulus, but working class Americans get higher bills and more debt, you got to start asking, is this caution or is this sabotage? And if it is sabotage, then it's not just Trump that they're targeting, it's you, right? So now here's where things really spiral out of control. Once the $2.7 billion Fed renovation story broke, and once Jerome Powell refused to act on interest rates, Trump started asking some questions. According to several reports, he was gauging support among Republican lawmakers on whether Jerome Powell should be fired for cause, okay? Now, Trump was denied any active firing plans, but he did confirm that he asked, and some said yes. So, several people want Jerome Powell fired. And just like that, the media pounced. They twisted a question into a full-blown crisis. Headlines exploded, markets dipped, commentators screamed chaos, all because Trump asked a question about accountability. Now, let me ask you guys, who caused the panic? Was it Trump, who's just trying to protect the economy and root out corruption? Or was it the media, who manufactured all sorts of hysteria just to smear the president and distract from the Fed's failures? Because if the press can't just simply report the truth, and if the Fed can't manage the people's money, well, then maybe the system isn't broken. Maybe it's rigged. And all of this, it's already hitting millions of Americans where it hurts, right in their wallets. Now, look, I need to break down some of these real life costs that the Fed's refusal to act is impacting. I mean, we're talking about double mortgage payments, crushing credit card interest, and dreams that are slipping away. I mean, some people don't even know what the American dream even is anymore. So I want to go ahead and pull this back, pull it out of Washington, D.C. for a second. I want to bring it all the way back home to your house, to your wallet, to your family, guys, because this is not just about renovations or press spin or some political theater. This is about millions of Americans getting crushed silently by a system that's refusing to ease up. Now, I want to be clear about this. Since 2021, mortgage rates have more than doubled. The 3% mortgage, yeah, that's now pushing like 7 or 8% even. And that's if you have really good credit, like your FICO score is like over 740, pushing 800, right? So what this means is that a family who used to pay $1,500 a month might be paying closer to $3,000 a month for the same house. Credit card interest, over 20% in many cases. You buy $200 in groceries and only pay for the minimum. If then you end up paying like $400 or more for food. I mean, it's ridiculous. Personal loans, car loans, small business credit, all of it's more expensive. And as interest piles on, families are canceling vacations, they're delaying home repairs, or even giving up on buying homes altogether. It's not just inconvenient. It's a financial chokehold, and the Fed has the power to end it. But instead, they're saying, hey, you know what? Let's just go ahead and wait and see. Wait and see? How much longer should Americans wait? Until their savings are gone? Until they miss another payment? Until their dreams are buried under compounding interest? Now, imagine this. Trump's trade deal has the potential to lower the cost of goods, to revive American manufacturing, and relieve inflation pressure. But for this to work, the Fed has to stop resisting, which brings us to the biggest question of all. Here's what we know. Inflation is under 3%. Unemployment is steady. Trump is back in charge. The people are demanding relief. And yet the Fed still won't budge. But the clock is ticking. The next Fed decision is coming very soon. And all eyes are now on just one man, Jerome Powell. Will he finally cut interest rates under pressure, or will he double down, refuse to move, and risk being removed by the president for cause? Because let's not forget, guys, Trump has the constitutional authority to fire the Fed chair if he can justify it. And with a $2.7 billion renovation scandal going on, refusal to cut interest rates, and accusations of political bias, well, that justification's kind of building rather fast, wouldn't you say? So here's the question. If Jerome Powell won't act, will President Trump remove him? And if he does, what happens to the markets? What happens to your Fed's future, right? What happens to your financial future? Well, I want to hear from you guys right now in the comments. Do you think the Fed is being weaponized against Trump and against us? Should President Trump fire Jerome Powell? Was the Fed's generosity during Kamala Harris's campaign a coincidence? Or was the Fed's generosity during Kamala Harris's campaign part of their plan? Let your voice be heard, guys, because this isn't just a battle over interest rates. This is a battle over who really controls the future of this country, Wall Street elites or the American people. And if you think this video was intense, wait until you see or hear what we're covering next, because President Trump's trade maneuver may have exposed even more than just Fed mismanagement. It may have actually triggered a massive global shift in power. So go ahead and click over there and watch the next video and see why China, the EU, and even Wall Street insiders are scrambling to respond. Do not miss it, guys. Millions are watching. Make sure you're one of them. We'll see you next time.